Hello everyone. I'm going to take you through your first practice set. I'm going to do some examples for you to make sure that you know what you're doing as you work through the questions. It's probably been quite a long time since you've tried to do these operations manually, so I'm going to take them through you step by step. We'll start with an addition question. I'll make up my own numbers so that you can try each of the 4 questions on your own. We want to make sure we line the numbers up properly so that we're adding all of the stuff in the ones column together on its own. Will carry over whatever doesn't fit. Then, we move on to the higher, the columns of higher value. So let's add up everything that we can, starting with 6 plus 5, 11. It doesn't fit in the ones column, so we end up carrying that over. We move on to the tens column. 4 and 7 is 11, plus 1 is 12. And finally, we're up to the hundreds column. 6 and 3 is 9. Add 1 is 10. Because we have nothing to add beyond the hundreds column, there's nowhere to put the carry except for in the front. And we end up with 1,021. So I'm jumping down to around question 9 so I can show you that you can also add more than 2 numbers together. The order will not matter. Addition you can do in any order, you'll get the same result. I'm going to make up my own numbers so again that you can try the questions on your own. Alright, so let's add up a stack of 3 numbers here. Again, we just made sure that we lined everything up properly so that we're adding numbers of the same value. So starting over with on the right hand side here, we have 4 and 1 is 5, 5 and 8 is 13. So I'll put that in. And from here we move on to the next column. 1 and 7 is 8. Add 2 more is 10. Add 6 more is 16. Okay, and on to the next hundreds column. 3 and 1 is 4. Add 9 is 13. 13 and 7 is 20. And yes, you can carry numbers that are larger than 1 over to the next column. And finally, we're up to the thousands column. 2 plus 1, we've got 3 for a total of 3,063. And let's wrap up addition for this unit by also trying to add some numbers with decimals as well. So let's look at how we line those up and how we do the addition. A couple of things to make sure that you have right here. You'll notice that all of the decimal points in addition need to be lined up. They have to be lined up or else you'll be adding numbers of different values and that's not going to work. You'll also notice on the right hand side that you've got a different amount of digits on the other side of the decimal place. It's okay to leave these blank if you like, or what you can also do is just add in some zeros if that makes you feel more comfortable. And the reason that I did that is because now for each number we have 3 digits behind the decimal place. Remember, it's okay to add zeros after the decimal place, but it's not okay to add zeros in front of it. For example, if I have the number 10, I could have a decimal there and I could add zeros forever, and the amount of, whatever it is that I have remains to be 10 because I'm adding those zeros after the decimal point. If I add it before the decimal point, however, and then now I'm just making up numbers. I just converted 10 into 1,000. Those 2 numbers have very different values. All right, so we'll start to add up our numbers. We do the same thing where we start from the smallest values, which are over on the right-hand side. So to 0, 0, and 3, we're going to start. We add those up. And then 8 plus 0 is just 8. 6 and 6 makes 12. We're now carrying across the decimal point. It's going to go right down below the other decimal point, so everything's lined up with the same value. We move on and continue to add. 4 and 1 is 5, 6 and 4 is 10. All right, next column we've got 8 and 3, which is 11. Add 1 is 12. And 3 and 2 is 5. Add 1 is 6. And nothing to carry over there, so we have a 1 in front. And that will be our final result from adding those 3 numbers together. Another note on this question, something that we talked about in class, is using estimates to see if we're close to the right answer. And so that one came out to about 1,600 and something. So we're going to estimate and see if we get the same thing. We'll go to the nearest 100 for this particular question. And I look at the top number here, 1,304.68. Well, if we think in terms of hundreds, what that is closest to, that's going to be closest to 1,300. All right, and then we look at the next number, 281. In terms of hundreds, we're saying that number is either going to be close to 200 or 300, and because it's 50 or above over here, 281, that's going to make it closer to 300. And down in the last section here, this might be a trickier idea. This is just the number 34, but we're considering rounding or estimating to the nearest 100. So we're saying, is this number closer to 0 or is this number closer to 100? And because it's 34, which means it's if the midpoint is at around 50, anything below that is going to go to 0. Anything above that would be closer to 100. And now if we did a quick addition of these, we can do this in our head. 1,300 plus 300 is 1,600, and that's close to the actual value that we got. So it looks like our work was correct.